Hi, today we're talking about some frequently asked questions that people have concerning Family Missions Company's short-term mission trips. Joining me for this discussion are James Frankie, our short-term mission trip coordinator, and John Paul Papazinski, a full-time missionary with Family Missions Company. So let's get right to the point. James, these are some questions that we find a lot of people have when they're interested in coming on a Family Missions Company short-term trip. First of all, who is Family Missions Company and what are our mission trips?
Yeah, that's a great question. Family Missions Company we're a lay organization of the Catholic Church, and we're a missionary apostolate and an evangelistic one at that. We are set up in canon law as a private organization of the Catholic Church, which means we have the blessing of the Catholic Church to go out and to be missionary. However, we're not attached to a particular church parish. And so our mission, our primary apostolate, is to send out full-time missionaries. So that's to train them, to form them with a missionary heart, missionary spirituality, and to send these missionaries out to the ends of the earth as an attempt to live the Great Commission of Jesus, to go to the ends of the earth to proclaim the gospel. Those people who come and join Family Missions Company in a full-time capacity, they have dedicated 2 years of their life to that mission. They feel like God is calling them to give that chunk of their lives. Some of them stay on for many more years. We have individuals and families alike who answer that call. At the same time, we have realized throughout the growth of Family Missions Company that there's a group of people that exist out there who maybe have that missionary tugging at their heart, their spirit, that missionary call, but for whatever circumstance, they're not at a place in life where they're able to yet give those 2 years, or they're not sure if they're ready to do so. And so Family Missions Company, as a secondary apostolate, has developed these mission trips. We call them short-term mission trips because they're different than that 2-year commitment. They're typically 7 to 10 days in length, and it's an opportunity for people who maybe want to experience the life of missions. Maybe they're discerning it and they don't know what it's all about, or it's something that they would just love to give a week to. Like I said, they can't give that 2 years, but they still want to serve. They still want to live out the Great Commission however they're able to. So we've developed these opportunities for them to come into missions, to serve alongside our missionaries, and that's what we call our mission trips.
I know that in the world today, thankfully, there's sort of a resurgence of interest in going on mission trips. But what makes Family Missions Company's mission trips different from other mission trips?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I agree with you. I think, the last couple of years we've seen like this missionary impulse, this transformation that Pope Francis is talking about. And I think a lot of people are ready. They're ready to do something radically different. They're ready to go and to serve. And we are so excited as Family Missions Company to have our arms wide open to receive those people with us and allow them to come and serve on our mission trips. And I think the one thing that makes our mission trips so special is that really at the heart of who we are as Family Missions Company and in our trips is we are evangelistic, which means the primary focus of every single one of our mission trips is going out and sharing our faith, bringing Jesus to the people that we're going to serve. So of course our mission trips are very similar to many other mission trips with, going out and living out the corporal and spiritual works of mercy, serving the poor with their physical needs. But we always make sure that our faith is such like an integral aspect of that experience. Another really cool thing about Family Missions Company and our mission trips that differ than a lot of other organizations in their trips is that all of our mission trips, we take participants from here in the States, whether they're individuals, families, a church group, a university, we invite them into missions and we actually bring them to a place where we have our full-time missionaries living in the field. So they're not only entering into a mission trip experience, they're entering into really the life of missions. They're standing with shoulder to shoulder with full-time missionaries who have felt that call, gone through that formation, been sent out, and have been laboring in the vineyard. So these are people who have real relationships with the poor, real friendships with those people they're serving. They have some incredible ministries that they're participating in and amazing things that they're doing, really. And so all of our mission trips, we try to take missionaries and bring them into that. So it gives them, first, I think they can really hit the ground running, so to speak. There's already so much going on that they literally are just taken from the States and placed into this place of missions, and it's going, and so there's not like that transition time the first couple of days. You're trying to figure your way through. So really you get there and you're in it. You're in missions, you're serving. And it also has served for us as an incredible tool for missionary discernment. A lot of people have come on our mission trips, myself included, and found a vocation in missions, and it serves them well to be able to stand next to a full-time missionary and say, okay, this is authentic, this is what the life of missions is all about, and so it gives them an incredible missionary experience, and then it gives them a great gift to go home with something tangible with which they can discern. Is this call for me? I've seen what it is. I can't unsee it. Like, this is missions. Like, do I feel like God is calling me to give more? Maybe go on another mission trip in the future. We have some at Family Missions Company, some extended mission trips for further discernment. Or do I feel like he's calling me to dive, head into this thing and really give my life to missions? So.
And John Paul, actually, you came on a mission trip before you became a full-time missionary
I did.
as well.
I
did. Great fruit right here, right now.
I think that's one of the cool things that I really appreciate, was that knowing that when I left, that the work was being continued.
Yeah.
And having that connection with that place, that we could go on the FMC website and look at the blog of one of the missionaries full time there, and see, how things were going, or how we could continue to pray for them or donate to that mission. And I don't know, just the connection there with the full-time missionaries, I think, is really good.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. I think a lot of mission trips do some incredible, some organizations do some incredible work, and people get to experience an incredible 7, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and then they leave and they take home some beautiful memories, some experiences, some pictures. The cool thing about our mission trips is, because we have missionaries still living with those people. The mission trip participants leave, but those missionaries are still there serving, loving. It kind of creates a bridge back home. And so missionaries who come back to the States, who maybe want to go there in the future, are able to, or whether they just want to continue supporting and blessing and serving those people, they may not still be on the ground in India or China or the Philippines or Ecuador or Mexico, but there is still a real way for them to reach out to those people through our full-time missionaries and continue to bless them and change their lives even after they return home to the States.
That's a great point. What would you say a typical mission trip, and I know we have a lot of variety there, but a typical mission trip with Family Missions Company, what would you say that looks like?
Yeah, so our mission trips do have variety, and I think that's a beautiful thing about Family Missions Company, that all of our mission trips are designed to fit the need of the people. We don't necessarily go in with a program, so to speak, that we put on. We go and we look for the need of the people and say, how can we bless them? How can we serve them? How can we bring Jesus to them? And so a lot of our mission trips vary, but there's a lot of staples on our mission trips as well. Our basic daily routine tends to stay the same depending, across the board with the countries that we're going to. A lot of the activities are very similar. So a typical day, when I share with people what it looks like, usually on all of our mission posts, we are staying together as a community. So either Family Missions Company owns a community house, or we'll rent out like a convent or a hostel or something like that, a place where our mission team kind of sets up camp, so to speak, for the week. And so we stay there, we room there, we board there. In the mornings we wake up. Beautiful thing about Family Missions Company is we begin our day with prayer. A lot of other people begin their day every day with food, which is great, feed the body, but we want to first feed our souls. And so we begin our day with community prayer, which is something that has transformed our mission trips. Being able to really just begin the day and say, Lord, speak to us through your word, speak to us, like, what have you been trying to show us? We go through the week and talk about some blessings of what's been going on, and people just have this ability to share with one another, to really bear their heart. Like, this is what God's been doing in me this week, and it really builds up that team, builds up that community. So we begin with prayer. We'll have our breakfast in the morning, we eat as a community, and then our mornings are usually spent out in the community or the surrounding communities, wherever we're at, engaging in corporal works of mercy. So that's physically serving the poor in whatever ways they need. In Mexico, you may find yourself building a house. In Ecuador, you may find yourself working in a field side by side with one of the Ecuadorians, harvesting their food. In India, you may find yourself bumping shoulders with the missionaries of charity in one of the homes that Mother Teresa started throughout the city of Calcutta to serve the handicapped, the orphan, the widow, the destitute, or the dying. So all of our mission trips vary, but there's that aspect of service, and we feel so strongly that, like, how important that is, to serve the person, to serve their being and their families and their friends and whoever God is, putting in our path. So we serve in the morning, corporal works of mercy. Usually we'll come back, we'll have lunch, and then in the afternoon, that's where the mission trip particulars kind of change depending on country. Some countries will find ourselves going to a school and giving a talk. In Mexico, we'll find ourselves driving into the desert, going to, a desert community, knocking on the doors, inviting the people to come. If we have a priest, we'll be able to offer the sacraments to them, which is few and far between for a lot of the people that we're serving. If not, we have a prayer service. Our missionaries are able to go share with them from the scriptures, give a teaching, a talk. We have the missionaries who are coming on these mission trips develop and prepare their own personal testimonies. Like what is a big thing or even a little thing that God has done for you in your life that has blessed you. And a lot of people, that is probably one of the things they're most nervous about preparing, and after the mission trip, it was the thing that blesses them the most. Their ability to literally travel across the world, wherever it may be, and to share with others the incredible ways that God has worked in their lives. It gives us first an opportunity to say, okay, how has God worked in my life? Because a lot of us maybe have never tried to pinpoint it, like, God, what have you done for me this week? What have you done for me this year? So it gives us the opportunity to do so, and then it ends up blessing the people, because when they see that God works in my life, they begin to search for him working in their lives, or at least begin asking for him, please God, work in my life like you worked in that missionary's life. And then on a lot of our trips, we follow up, and these people that we shared our testimonies with end up sharing their testimony with us about a missionary came and shared this incredible story, and it just inspired me and gave me the faith to ask God to do the same, and I did, and he answered my prayers. So it's just like this continual sharing of faith and upbuilding and giving. So our evenings are filled with some sort of spiritual, some sort of evangelistic outreach. And that's kind of our typical day.
It's a beautiful combination of the spiritual and the corporal works.
Absolutely.
I know also on every mission trip, we spend some time on a desert day in prayer. We do a pilgrimage day to a local site. So there's just a lot of richness in all of our Family Missions Company trips. So who is able to go on a mission trip?
Yeah, so our mission trips, they are open to anyone who is willing to come and to commit to the things that FMC lives by. We are a Catholic organization, and so we do have like a commitment form that we have you sign coming into missions in terms of whether you're a Catholic or not, that you commit to living by the guidelines that our missionaries live by, that we as Catholic missionaries stand for. We accept anyone, regardless of age. We say if a minor comes, we invite them to bring a parent with them. So a lot of missionary organizations may not accept children. Family Missions Company, how could we turn down a child? And so if a kid wants to come and bring mom and dad, we'll gladly accept them. Singles come all the time, and then we take families. We've had families from one kid up to, I think, 11 kids come on missions with us. So we're all inclusive. It's in our name, Family Missions Company. We try to invite anybody who feels like God is calling them to come into missions, to come to experience with us, as long as they're willing to step into what we stand for and what our missions are all about. We'd be happy to have you.
Exciting. So how would somebody go about signing up for a mission trip with Family Missions Company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Family Missions Company has a stateside base located in Abbeville, Louisiana, and we have some office staff working there, and we have a mission trip coordinator. So if you were to call up Family Missions Company and ask them for information about mission trips, they'd be able to share with you a little bit about our mission trips and what upcoming trips there are. So the way that we run our mission trips is that I'll usually have, we'll have individuals that are a part of a group that approach us. So it may be a university, it may be a church group, it may be a group of friends or families, and say, we have 10, 15 people and we would like to go on a mission trip. So what our mission trip coordinator would do is they would set up that trip to a certain place at a certain time, and space permitting, we're then able to make that trip an open trip. So other individuals and families are able to add on. So if you're maybe an individual wanting to come on a mission trip, you would contact Family Missions Company and say, what open and available mission trips might you have this summer, this next spring, this next coming year that I might be able to come on? And that mission trip coordinator would talk to you and let you know. And then it's a simple application process. We have you fill out, we have a conversation with you, answer a few questions. You send it in as long as there's space, and you're able to come. We'd be happy to have you.
That's exciting. So I'm ready to go on a mission trip.
Hey, let's go.
What details go into getting ready for a mission trip?
Yeah, so obviously the first thing would be to contact Family Missions Company to go through that conversation of which trip can I come on, when can I come, and to go through that application process. Once you've gone through the application process, you're going to be in contact regularly with Family Missions Company and their mission trip coordinator. They're going to be sending you ways to prepare for missions. So one of the primary ways is fundraising. There's a mission trip fee, of course, associated with our mission trips, and that fee goes to cover your housing, your food, your ministry expenses, and your transportation on the ground for those mission trips. And so leading up to a mission trip, fundraising is one thing that we as Family Missions Company encourage you to do. Even if you're able to pay out of pocket, we invite you to bring others into your mission through fundraising. And we found that it really is an incredible way. If I'm a part of a parish back home, there may be a lot of people in my parish who want to come on this trip with me. Other circumstances are dictating that they're not able to come. So by me opening up my mission to them and saying, hey, would you want to support me? Would you want to financially donate to me? Would you want to support me in prayer? What it does is it extends my mission to them and really allows them to be a real part. So fundraising is one thing, a practical way to prepare for a mission trip. Another way is what we call a missionary heart formation. And so leading up to your mission trip, you're going to have an orientation for your mission trip. And it may be a live in-person orientation. At times groups will fly up our missionary coordinator and they will give an in-person orientation, be able to answer a lot of these frequently asked questions and take them through this journey of what it means to develop a missionary heart. And so this is just trying to develop within us a heart that as soon as we hit the ground on that mission trip, we're ready to serve. We're ready to go, we're ready to love, we're ready to give, we're ready to be sacrificial, obedient, whatever we need to do to make this an incredible and successful mission trip. So fundraising, develop the missionary heart, and then I think prayer is another staple of preparation for our mission trips. We as Family Missions Company, we do a lot in terms of getting ready. I know all of the mission trip participants do a lot to prepare for these trips, but above all of those preparations, we need to make sure to always cover it all in prayer, because if we can prepare till we're blue in the face, but if we're not praying through it, it's not going to be as efficacious, as successful as it could be if we're saying, God, be with me in every step of this. So what we often say is pray for you, pray for your missionary heart transformation, pray for the people you're going to serve, and then pray the Holy Spirit ahead of you. Say, Holy Spirit, prepare the way. For me, go and meet these people where they're at and stir something up inside of them. Prepare them for the experience that they're about to encounter on this week as well. So I would say fundraising is very practical. Developing that missionary heart is essential, and then covering everything that we do in prayer.
Sounds like a big task, but a very worthwhile one.
Absolutely.
So some people are able to plan for their mission trips months in advance. And what would the months leading up to a mission trip look like?
Yeah, so the months leading up to a mission trip are going to be filled with a lot of those preparations that we were talking about. It's going to be, fundraising. It's going to be inviting people into your mission through that. It's going to be making logistical preparation. So there's going to be things that a lot of people have questions like, what is the climate and the weather like? How am I supposed to pack? And so Family Missions Company and their mission trip coordinator, the months leading up to that, they're going to be in regular contact with you and they're going to help you prepare. So they're going to be sending you, this is what it's going to look like in Ecuador. It's the rainy season, bring a poncho. These are the things that you need to pack. These are the things you won't have to worry about. We're going to be sending you formation along the way, just encouraging you and reminding you and trying to, pray into this mission trip experience with you. And so a lot of times our mission trip coordinator will be on the phone talking to the people getting ready and say, hey, let's say a prayer, and making sure that we're walking side by side with you. There's going to be a lot of questions that are asked about like health and safety, those kinds of things. And so the preparation leading up to a trip is very much going to involve a lot of those practical things as well.
Great. I know that any time that we go on a mission trip, we're trusting in the Lord, but what safety precautions would you recommend to be taken for a mission trip?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as Family Missions Company, we encourage everyone to prayerfully discern and take any safety precautions that they feel necessary. As Family Missions Company, we don't require any vaccinations or immunizations because most of the countries that we are going to do not require them. A lot of people decide that they would like to go above and beyond the call to safety, and we encourage that if they feel called to do so. And so they can go to the CDC's website, cdc.gov, and go and they can find the specific country that they're going to be traveling to and see what may be recommended for somebody traveling to India. There may be no vaccinations or immunizations required, but they might say, oh, it'd be recommended that you take this medicine or this antibiotic along with you in case you get sick. And if someone wants to take those precautions, that's totally up to them, and we are very much supportive of that. Realizing that, when you're in missions, we're living like the people. And so there's a possibility that you get sick or you fall ill, and Family Missions Company's missionaries, they're very well trained. And so we do everything we can going out of our way to ensure safety. But if someone were to get sick, which has happened in the past, we're always close enough to hospitals, medical care, doctors, and the medicine that would be necessary to make sure that the mission trip participants are taken care of.
Sounds great. So when you're on a mission trip, Are you able to be in constant communication with the people back home, or how does communication work on a mission?
Yeah, and that's a great question. A lot of people ask that. They say, when I'm in missions, can I call back every night and talk to mom and tell them how it's going? Can I send pictures or upload it to Facebook? And we understand the sentiment. You know, you want to share that mission experience with those people as soon as it happens, because it's something that's so moving to you, so inspiring, so powerful that you almost can't help but want to share. However, with Family Missions Company, we do try to encourage our missionaries to unplug when they're in missions. And that's simply to say that we ask them to sacrifice from communication for the week. So whenever we get to a mission post, we obviously email back home and say, everyone here is fine, they made it safely. And right before we're about to leave, we again say, we're taking them to the airport, they're about to come back home, you know, be excited, they have some great stories to share with you. But throughout the week, we like to unplug. And the reason that we have that policy is because we have found that technology, as good as it can be, can also lead to distractions. You know, you pull out your phone and you open a certain app, and then, needless to say, you're going to find yourself on 4 others before you realize what you're doing and turn it off. And so we ask them, unplug for the week. It's a week without technology. You're going to find that it's actually incredible to unplug, and it really allows us to better enter in and to be completely present. You know, it's great to want to be present back home, but this trip is all about the people you're serving. It's all about your relationship with the Lord, and it's all about you allowing him to lead you as deeply into his experience as you can. And so we try to remove anything that may be pulling us in any other directions.
Right. I personally love to unplug on a mission trip, and it's a great blessing and a great freedom and a sacrifice, but
It is.
and of course, we do make exceptions for emergencies. I know that
Absolutely.
to be true as well. So thank you so much, James. Thank you so much, John Paul, for being with us and sharing with us about these questions that so many people have when they're encountering missions for the first time through a short-term trip.
Thank you so much.